Breaking news directly from MLB insiders. Sources confirm that the New York Yankees are closely monitoring Marcell Ozuna's situation with the Atlanta Braves. With a disastrous start to the season for Atlanta and explosive offensive numbers from the Dominican slugger, we are potentially looking at one of the biggest market movements this season. The question echoing throughout American baseball: is the star hitter about to trade the South for the Bronx? Welcome to Baseball Insider, where we uncover the stories behind the hottest rumors in the league. Today we dive deep into a situation that's keeping MLB executives up at night: the possible transfer of Marcell Ozuna to the Yankees. The Atlanta Braves didn't expect to be in this position. After years of consistency and competitiveness in the National League, the Georgia team faces a season start that's as frustrating as it is unexpected. This crisis scenario puts the organization in a position few anticipated: that of a potential seller at the trade deadline. And at the center of this whirlwind is Marcell Ozuna, one of the few bright lights in a dark moment for the franchise. Historically, moments like this have defined the future of great baseball organizations. Recall how the 1996 to 2000 Yankees built their dynasty partially through strategic midseason acquisitions. Dave Winfield, David Cone, David Justice. The list of transformative Yankees acquisitions is extensive and impressive. Or how the Braves themselves in the 90s, under the command of the legendary John Trholtz, built an empire with precise market moves. Now, we are potentially witnessing another of those defining moments that could completely reconfigure the balance of power in the league. If you're appreciating this in-depth analysis and want to continue receiving exclusive information about the MLB market before everyone else, this is the perfect moment to become part of our community. Click the subscribe button right now and activate notifications. We are the first source to bring these insider stories with depth and precision. Leave your like to strengthen our content and ensure that we can continue bringing these exclusive analyses to you. Let's get to the concrete facts. Marcell Ozuna is experiencing one of the best offensive phases of his career, with impressive averages of .318/.500/.530 this season, for powerful home runs and an incredible 24 walks, a number that leads the entire league. He has transformed into a true offensive machine. His OPS of 1.030 places him among the absolute elite of MLB hitters at this moment. The contractual context adds even more complexity to the situation. Ozuna is in the final year of his 4-year contract valued at $65 million that he signed with the Braves in 2021. Currently, he's playing under a $16 million option for this season, after which he will become an unrestricted free agent. SpotTrack, a reference in market projections, predicts that the Dominican should sign a new 4-year contract valued at approximately $77 million in the next offseason. This is a crucial point for understanding the dynamics of the situation. Unlike most of the Brave stars, who are secure with long-term contracts, think Ronald Acuna Jr., Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ozuna represents a valuable asset that Atlanta could lose without any compensation after the end of the season. It was Colin Keane, respected analyst from Sports Illustrated, who first pointed out the Yankees' potential interest in making an offer for Ozuna's services before the trade deadline. The Yankees historically seek impact hitters in the trade market and often don't care if the target player doesn't fit perfectly into their defensive scheme or lineup, wrote Keane in his analysis that reverberated throughout the baseball industry. In the corridors of power in MLB, conversations have already surpassed the stage of mere speculation. Sources close to the organizations reveal that Yankees representatives have made preliminary contacts to probe Ozuna's availability. The New York team's management internally recognizes a need to strengthen their offense to compete on equal terms with the powerful teams of the West Coast and the American League East Division itself. The Yankees' recent history corroborates this trend. The Bronx franchise have consistently demonstrated a willingness to seek significant offensive talents in the market, even when the defensive fit doesn't seem perfect at first glance. The most emblematic and recent case was the acquisition of Jazz Chisholm, who was acquired and subsequently converted to third base, a position that wasn't his specialty. As Keane precisely observed in his analysis, if New York has its eye on Ozuna, they will do everything to take him from Atlanta and worry about the consequences on the depth chart later. This has been a modus operandi of the Yankees under current management, prioritizing talent and solving positioning issues later. The financial situation also favors a potential negotiation. The Yankees, despite already having one of the highest payrolls in the league, still have flexibility to absorb Ozuna's contract, especially considering that it's only the final months of his current agreement. For the Braves, alleviating this financial burden could represent an opportunity to reallocate resources to more deficient areas of the roster. It's impossible to analyze the Yankees' potential interest in Ozuna without considering Giancarlo Stanton's situation. The powerful Yankees slugger is expected to return to action at some point this season, but his recent trajectory with the team has been marked by recurring injuries that limit his availability. This uncertainty about Stanton's health creates a scenario where adding Ozuna would function as valuable insurance. In the event of new prolonged absences from Stanton, Ozuna could fully assume the role of designated hitter, maintaining the Yankees' offensive power at competitive levels. However, even with Stanton in full physical condition, there's a convincing argument for incorporating Ozuna into the roster. Manager Aaron Boone would have at his disposal a rotation scheme that would allow resting his main hitters in the DH position, maximizing their offensive production, while carefully managing the physical load throughout the grueling 162-game season. Advanced performance analysis experts project that a lineup featuring Judge, Stanton, and Ozuna would produce approximately 15 to 20% more runs than the Yankees' current offensive configuration. These numbers do not go unnoticed for an organization that prioritizes data-driven decisions like the Yankees. On Atlanta's side, the situation is even more complex and delicate. The franchise has built a reputation for constant competitiveness in recent years, with regular postseason presence and a recent world title in 2021. The Braves' organizational culture is not accustomed to the position of seller. However, the reality of the numbers imposes difficult reflections. If the below-expected performance persists in the coming weeks, keeping Ozuna just to see him leave without any compensation at the end of the year becomes increasingly less justifiable from a long-term strategic perspective. A well-structured trade at this moment could yield valuable prospects for the Braves minor league system, would alleviate the payroll at time of challenging results, and would allow a strategic realignment aiming at future seasons with an even stronger young core. Nevertheless, trading a player of Ozuna's stature, despite still playing a high home run since represents a short-term 3 All-Star Game appearances and 2 Silver Slugger awards in his career, will never be a simple decision or one free from consequences. There are implications that transcend the purely technical aspect and reach emotional dimensions and relationship with the fan base. The Braves are in a position where they need to decide if they're genuinely in the playoff race this year. If the answer is no, then Ozuna becomes their most valuable asset for an accelerated rebuild, evaluates an executive from a National League team who requested anonymity to speak freely on the matter. The potential transfer of Ozuna to the Yankees would have repercussions that go beyond the limits of the two franchises involved. First, it would reinforce the perception that the Yankees are absolutely committed to the pursuit of the title this season. They're first under the command of the new manager. For the rest of the American League, especially division rivals like the Red Sox, Orioles, and Blue Jays, Ozuna's arrival to the Yankees would represent an additional challenge in an already complicated dispute for playoff qualification. The AL East division, traditionally one of the most competitive in baseball, would become even more fierce. In the National League, Ozuna's departure would signal a temporary change in the Braves' approach, potentially opening space for other contenders, such as Phillies, Mets, and Marlins, to gain ground in the race for the East Division. From a statistical point of view, adding Ozuna would create a truly frightening scenario for opposing Yankees pitchers. The combined slugging average of Judge and Ozuna surpasses any other pair of hitters currently in the league. The home run potential of this combination would be simply explosive. Analysts project that with Ozuna in the lineup, the Yankees would increase their offensive production by approximately 0.7 to 0.9 runs per game, a significant increment that could transform several tight losses into victories throughout the season. In a league where each win can determine playoff qualification, this type of improvement is invaluable. Even considering Ozuna's known defensive limitations, an aspect that has been the target of criticism throughout his career, the extraordinary offensive value he would add largely compensates for any deficiency in the field. In the Yankees configuration, he would probably alternate between designated hitter and left field positions, minimizing his defensive exposure. The calendar now becomes a crucial factor in this equation. The next 3 to 4 weeks will be absolutely determinant in defining the direction of this story. If the Braves manage to engage a positive sequence of results and return to convincingly figure in the fight for the top positions, the probability of a trade involving Ozuna decreases significantly. On the other hand, each additional loss exponentially increases the pressure on the management to consider offers for the Dominican's services before the deadline. The final deadline for trades in MLB this year is marked for the end of July, which means that franchises have approximately 2 months to clearly define their positions as buyers or sellers in the market. Time is running against the Braves, evaluates a veteran scout with decades experience in the league. Each week that passes without a significant reversal in results pushes Ozuna closer to the exit. For the Yankees, the window of opportunity is equally narrow. Anticipating other potential interested parties may mean getting Ozuna for a less costly package of players and prospects. Waiting too long, on the other hand, runs the risk of seeing the market heat up and prices inflate, especially if other contending teams demonstrate interest in the slugger. In the broader panorama of MLB, this potential transfer perfectly exemplifies how modern baseball operates at the intersection between immediate competitiveness and long-term strategic planning. For the Yankees, Ozuna represents the chance to strengthen an already powerful lineup and maximize their competitive window with the current core of players. For the Braves, it may be the moment to make a strategic adjustment, recognizing that not every season results in success, and that difficult decisions are part of building sustainable success in the league. Historically, similar trades have shaped dynasties and redefined the trajectory of franchises. When the Yankees acquired Cecil Fielder in 1996, many questioned the need for more offensive power. The result? A world title that same year. When the Astros brought in Justin Verlander in 2017, there were doubts about the value of committing resources for a veteran pitcher. Again, a world title was the answer. Does Ozuna have the potential to join this list of transformative acquisitions that define winning eras in baseball? Only time will tell. But the pieces are moving on the board, and the signs point to a possible bombshell transfer in the coming weeks. In the end, this story transcends a simple, immediate sporting impact. It illustrates how MLB organizations constantly navigate the delicate balance between present ambition and future vision. For the Yankees, Ozuna represents the opportunity to strengthen an already powerful lineup and maximize their chances of conquering the 28th world title. For the Braves, it may be the moment to recognize that strategic adjustments are necessary to maintain sustainable competitiveness. What do you think of this potential move? Should the Yankees really go all in to acquire Ozuna? Or should the Braves resist the temptation and keep their slugger even in the face of a challenging start to the season? Share your opinion in the comments below. We're eager to know what you think about this potential bombshell trade. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel to not miss any updates on this and other hot stories from the MLB market. Next week, we'll bring an exclusive analysis on how the injury crisis among pitchers is forcing teams to completely rethink their talent development strategies. A silent revolution is happening in the league's bullpens, and you'll only see this complete story here. Because in baseball, just as in life, the biggest turnarounds often begin in the most unlikely moments. And while Yankees and Braves carefully evaluate their next steps, the rest of the league watches attentively, aware that the balance of power can change drastically with a single negotiation. The drama is just beginning, and we promise to keep you informed about every new development in this fascinating saga.